Hi, welcome back. It's Siobhan at Bow Books, and welcome if you're new as well. You may notice I'm in the same get up as my book haul video. It's the same day, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna do a couple of videos just because it's my day off and I get the chance to. And we'll see how I get on from here. So sorry if my makeup is scary for more than one video, but also how cute is this bow? I've hidden the Etsy link, but I'll put it below as well. So today I'm gonna mainly be reviewing Toffee by Sarah Crossan because I read this in like a day and a half, which seems like a boast. It seems like I'm flexing, but bear in mind, and I'm going to show you. Is that a good page? I'm going to show you a page where it gives you an idea of why it's so easy to get through this book, because I think I said when I was going through my to be read pile that it's all written in free verse. This is the prime example, right? So these are two separate poems that make up the storyline. No One Did Anything to Me and Memories, but they are both quite short, so that doesn't take long to read. I think I got through about 130 pages on my lunch break the other day. So yeah, that was such a good read. But while I'm reviewing Toffee by Sarah Crossan, I also want to talk about The Sky Is Mine by Amy Beashel. It's Beashel, isn't it? Because actually this is like a really good example of books that exist at the same time. They've been published, I think, relatively close together last year, I believe. Yeah, 2019. Oh, actually 2020, so this actually came afterwards. But the subject matter is really similar, the plot lines are really similar, but there are differences. But also, like, I think a lot of people think that you have to have a really unique idea when you're writing a book, and you really don't. What you need is a unique voice to tell that story, and this is probably a really good example of why that is. I should include a trigger warning actually, because both these books deal with domestic violence, abuse. I don't know what words I can actually say on YouTube. So there's a lot of violence and manipulation and stuff like that in these books. A lot of control. So in both of them, the father figure is an aggressive man. He is very controlling. He does stuff like make sure they eat a certain way, or they'll leave traps for the people they live with. In both situations, they have a teenage daughter. They also have a partner who runs away. Both the reasons why those women go are the same. So it's really interesting how they both deal with this topic, because in The Sky Is Mine, he's the stepfather of the main character who's talking. The girl is also being manipulated by someone at school. He's videotaped her while drunk, while he was hurting her as well, and he keeps using that to blackmail her into going further and further into things that she doesn't want to do, and she feels like she doesn't really have a voice. When her mum goes on the run with her, they end up in a hostel, but she kind of doesn't believe her mum because this is not the first time it's happened. And like it kind of comes to a head where he works out where they are because she's left her phone on and he's done a GPS tracker or something on there. And then, yeah, like the conclusion comes. I don't want to spoil the story, but eventually the mum and the daughter, they find their happily ever after without him. And that's all I'm going to say on this one. Also, again, yellows are sellers. They even have the same colour scheme with the blue and the black and white. So Toffee is a very similar story, but it's her real dad who is that way. And it's not her stepmom, her dad's fiance, who does the running away. And at first she wants to take Toffee, whose actual name is Alison. So she wants to take Alison with her, but Alison's like, no, I can't leave my dad. But then something happens and she runs away. She's got a scar on her face. She calls it a burn, we find out later what happened. Well, that's another thing that happened, sorry, in this guy's mind. The triggering factor, there's 2 reasons. 1, the teenage daughter gets hurt, and 2, both the mums have another thing going on. And I don't want to ruin it, but I think you can imagine. And actually, this guy's mind talks about when this event happens, the abuse goes up and it gets more dangerous, and that's why they usually run at that point. So in Toffee, she runs away to where she thinks the ex-fiance is now living, but the ex-fiance has actually moved on. There's no time frame for when they both left, which I would have appreciated a little bit, just to have some kind of context about how long it was before the fiance moved on. But she finds herself stranded in an unfamiliar town, and she is squatting in a shed until she realizes the owner of the house that the shed belongs to is a woman with dementia who mistakes her for a childhood friend. And they kind of, even though the woman has dementia, they slowly build this really beautiful friendship. While one of them's hiding from her problems, the other one is trying to realize that she has problems. So they kind of become like a port in the storm for each other, I guess, which really intrigued me. And I really love the pacing of the free verse, because when it's something like that page I showed, the one-line poem, no one did anything to me, like, that's where the character's holding back, so you don't get as much from that poem. But in another one, there might be like a lot of exposition. So yeah, the pacing really gives it its power, I think. So the only thing I think that would probably be confusing is that there are time jumps, like this one, bath time. It's talking about the first time that Alison really knew Kellyanne. I spoke wrong on another post, sorry. Yeah, so she's talking about the first time she really knew Kellyanne, and she didn't really trust her, but Kellyanne already knew what was up with her dad, and you know, she was doing the best she could to protect Alison. And there's some really beautiful moments in here, but it is a little bit hard going in the topic of it, especially as like Martha, the old woman with dementia, she has a son who comes across in a similar way to Alison's dad, and I don't know how to explain this well, but it kind of gets a little bit awkward, like, is he going to start hurting his mum? But it's also really beautiful in the way that she handles dementia, I think, because there are moments of clarity with Marla, and you know, Toffee sees her as a full person who just has an issue that has to be dealt with, like, not dealt with in that it needs to be overridden, but it needs to be understood and learned from, and then you can go forward and help her better. And I think that's a really good message to send, especially to young people, like, just to be a bit more understanding, because I really needed that when I was a younger person. Yes, this is going to be one of my shorter ones, which really sucks because I totally love Sarah Crossan. I probably wouldn't say it was my favourite read of hers though, because I think one had so much impact on me, and like I said in my other video, like, I could open it up at any page and just read a couple of pages and be bawling, and it was only towards the end when Toffee and Marla were kind of separated that yeah, that's when I got a bit choked up, and then it just ended. I was like, oh, okay, the cry fest is not happening. But it's still a good read. I'd still recommend it, and I'd also recommend This Guy's Mine. But again, like, trigger warnings if, like, you know anyone, or you've been in a situation where someone else has been manipulative or physical or anything like that, then yeah, I'd exercise caution on reading those. And my voice is going a bit funny, sorry. I think I need a drink. But anyway, thank you for watching. Sorry if this has been a bit of a downer video. I'm trying not to make it that way, but it's a sensitive topic, and I don't want to be over exuberant over something that actually needs to be handled as sensitively as the authors have done. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm not going to say like and subscribe and all that today, because yeah, with this kind of content I think that's a bit, yeah, it's a bit awkward, isn't it? So anyway, I hope this video has been a bit informative and it's given you a bit more depth into like the sort of books that you can find in young adult. I think it always gets a bad rap because certain books have gone really famous from young adult, and they're only indicative of a small amount of what you can find out there. And yeah, I think it's like really foolish to think that there's not so much passion and intellectual writing and sensitive writing in young adult. So yeah, I think this is a really good example of that sensitive writing and that sensitive approach, but still making something that, even if you've not been in that situation, is kind of relatable. There are still things in here that you would relate to, whether you've been in Toffee / Alison's situation, or Marla's situation or not, or even one of the other characters. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.